who's going through whatever, and I want to be there for them. And that does not take anything away from you. Like, I don't really believe like, your enemy should be my enemies type of thing. Just in life.
I think
even with a situation like this.
Yeah. And I think that's a dangerous way to live. It's where, he scorned you, and obviously like right afterwards, and, the months where you're getting Ariana back on her feet. Yeah, totally. You can't be communicating with Sandoval on the side because you're there for Ariana to get her through this terrible thing that he's just done. So yeah, totally get that. But moving further away from it, we're 3, 4, 5 months separated from this whole thing. I don't think that it's realistic to say, because especially when you're on a TV show together, especially when you are castmates on a show where that there has to be relationships bridged, or else this show will not continue on. You know what's going to happen this season. You know the route it's going to take, and you don't have to be cool with it. And that leads to the maybe she won't be back next season thing. But understanding what's happening within the moment and not being so harsh on the people that have been there for you. It doesn't have to be me or him. It can be, you were here for me. And like they said, at the end of the episode, when we get that lunch or dinner scene with Brock and Scheana and Allie and James, we ride hard for Ariana. Yes. But Tom was our friend. Tom was very, very close with Scheana for a very long time. Tom was like James's big brother, as he likes to reference. So there were real relationships there.
And what about just the logistics of it? Like, okay, Tuesday night when you are literally taking your final bow on Broadway as Roxy Hart, I had a bad day and Tom was in the area in Marina Del Rey and called me for a drink, and we went for a drink. I'm sorry I didn't check with you 3,000 miles away. I hope you had a great show and took your bow and greeted all your fans outside that wanted their playbill signed. Tom was across the street and asked me if I wanted to go for a drink, and Brock was home in summer mode. So I went. Like, just the logistics of it, it's like, can't she just live her life?
I think so. I think that it's also just, again, it's 3 months later. Like, I think that, a year from now, I don't think any of those things really come into play. I think people are going to stop referencing it. I think that on the show, there's going to be traces of it. At least this is what I'm hoping. There's going to be traces of it here and there. But people are going to be able to live their lives when Ariana's not around. And that is really, honestly, how real life works. But I still think they're in that, like, growing period where they're not really sure, and they're afraid to make a false move around her because they don't want to piss her off. And you can see as soon as his name gets brought up, she gets agitated. I mean, they're still living in the same house. He just got back from New Zealand. There's a lot of shit going on. We just picked up cameras, so we just started filming again. Now all of a sudden this is going to be my life again. So there's a lot of uneasiness, pretty much probably by the entire cast, aside from, I mean, Lala looks fine. She looks like she's handling everything pretty well, but everybody else is like, I don't really know how to handle any of this. And hopefully, I think by the end of this season, we'll have a better idea of where they are.
I think so too. Right. It is only 3 months. Who knows next season? And by the way, next season, if Raquel doesn't come back, let's stop making references to her too. Raquel is part of this show. She might as well have come back. She's mentioned every episode, like Jen was in Salt Lake. So I just think, yes, it would be nice if there were traces of it, and then let's stop mentioning Raquel too, or bring her back and make it work.
Yeah. And I think that when you look at how Raquel has produced her podcast, it's pretty much all VPR centric. She talks about all of this stuff on her podcast. So that begs the question, well, if you were going to do this anyway, why would you not make the check and go back? And her mental health is above all else. So if she couldn't handle that, then, all credit to her for not making that decision to go back and put herself in a bad spot. But it's just this whole thing, it's so convoluted now, and it's so difficult to see how this becomes a smooth running show again. I don't see how that happens. And each scene, I'm looking for something more. I'm looking for some way that we're going to move forward from this. And each scene, I'm reminded that I don't know if we can. I really don't know if we can. And it kind of, I don't know. I'm nervous.
I'm nervous. And like, the audience isn't going to buy something staged now. And there's also not enough people to stage something. Like, what? Like, Katie and Tom are going to get back together. So it's like there's not enough people that even if you wanted to script something so bizarre, first of all, it's not going to be more bizarre than Scandoval. No one's going to believe it. And there's not enough people to even play chess with. So what, right? Like, remember when the season started and like Schwartz and Scheana apparently kissed in the past, and like, where is that narrative now? Like, I just don't believe all this other stuff. I think it's like, so right, where do we go?
Where do we go? And I think that to what you referenced earlier, David, it's like one of those things where look at shows where you have such distinct lines between two parties. Jersey, we're so tired of talking about Teresa versus Melissa. Look at Potomac. You had a clear-cut line where Giselle is not going to talk to Candace. Candace will not talk to Giselle. The group is not vibing in any way, shape, or form. Potomac is my favorite. I reference it every episode. I bring this up. And they completely shit the bed this season. It's a terrible, terrible season. And when you have a cast that doesn't want to film together, why are we going to watch it?
I was going to say, are you still liking Potomac this season? Because
No.
I've said a lot of less than stellar things about Potomac.
We stopped watching it.
Yeah, no, we stopped watching it too, and Steele will bring it up every single episode. You have to stop doing that. Stop.
No, I miss it. I miss it being good.
But let it go, dude.
Never.
Listen, they're trying to fix RHOA, which I have put that in my worst of category from last season. So
yeah,
if they fix that, there is hope for Potomac, but they better get their act together. Like, I'm sorry, you have to get rid of Robin. Let's just start there.
Yes.
Look, they're not going to get rid of Giselle, whether I agree with that statement or not. They're not going to get rid of the Grand Dame because she is the Grand Dame. They're not going to get rid of Candace. Candace is a great housewife, I feel.
But you can build a show off of those three. That's a show.
That's like what I mean.
Around them. Yeah.
That's what I mean. And I really think probably they'll keep Ashley. That's just what I think.
She just stirs the pot, yeah.
I think those are the four. And I think, I'm sorry, it's time for the professor to, leave the classroom.
She's got her wine talk, Wendy wine.
Yeah, whatever that
wine
is.
Wine with Wendy talk show.
Yep.
And
wine with Dr. Wendy.
What the hell would Giselle be without Robin? Well, guess what? Let's find out.
We've been saying that for years. No more
ally. I say get rid of NECA and get rid of Wendy and get rid of Robin. Are they going to keep Mia?
They're going to keep Mia. But Mia can be a friend of. She can be a friend of, because every once in a while she shows. I'm so glad we're talking about Potomac. Thank you, David. Thank you for this. Shooter won't do this with me anymore. I think that if you have Mia come in, because every once in a while she has great episodes where she bops in and says something funny or stirs the pot or pushes the narrative forward. I think there's a place for her. I agree across the board, honestly. I think that that's a show you can work with those four, and then you can add one. I don't think you need 7. I think put 5 solid housewives there. See what
you got. They have 8 now, right? I think there's 8.
yeah,
it's 8. Too many. It's like, even keeping 4, I would love for them to, I would love for them to keep 4, not 5. But I don't know. Maybe Mia you keep over Ashley, but I don't think they would get rid of Ashley. I just don't.
I don't think so.
And I think the thing about like James Kennedy finding his dog back again is, it was just really nice to watch LVP find his dog, and that wasn't doctored at all. I'm sure that was completely organic and there was no issues. Right, guys? You guys agree, right?
Can I just say, and the thing is, my audience that's listening, they're like, you never talk Potomac. Listen, I am so anti-Potomac.
Oh, we get comments all the time, yeah.
I watched this past episode closer than I've watched others, and I'm like, okay, maybe I've been too hard, but I haven't been.
No, you haven't been too hard. No, you can go harder.
You haven't. But yeah, to tie it back